we've just been looking for answers from the town if they're going to supply any material, any resources.
Right now at 6 on Fox 61, Connecticut's news station. People in Oxford frustrated by the flooding damage. They say they want to know who's going to help them rebuild their lives.
But help is on the way, at least from the federal government, as President Biden has approved the state's request for flood relief.
And as our kids get ready to head back to class, schools across the state are dealing with an ongoing teacher shortage. Lindsay Kane is standing by with recruitment and retention efforts.
All local, all morning. This is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Good Thursday morning. Thanks so much for joining us here on Fox 61 and Fox 61 Plus America Areas.
And I'm Tim Lambers. It is a crisp start to the day across Connecticut. Don't be fooled, though. Summer is not done. Warmer temps are coming.
Good stuff. All right. We're turning things over to Matt Scott.
Good
What's going
morning.
on as far as temperature-wise today?
It's almost like we have to put that little caveat in it. Hey, hang on.
Sorry?
I know.
Summer's coming back. It feels good, though, this morning. The fall feels continue. Good to have you along at 6:01. Here's what you need to know before you go. It is cruise control weather as we just kind of put the clicker down and let the computers do their thing. Because really not much to show you. The humidity remains on hold for now. The weekend looking great. By then, we'll turn up the heat, turn up the humidity a bit, and summer will be back. Satellite radar picture is still quiet. Wall-to-wall clear skies. Got a wind still light out of the west and northwest, and looming off to the north. Still a little bit of that rain from yesterday pivoting around the northern border, but I'm not looking for anything from that. Maybe a couple of clouds. That'll be it. 54 in Hartford right now. 55 in Groton. All right. It was a little warmer in New Haven at 60, but look at you, Waterbury and Torrington in the upper 40s. Dew points in the mid to upper 40s in the Litchfield Hills, low 50s for everyone else. And that is still the way it's staying. No complaints there. So the fall feels continue. Temperatures getting into how about the mid 70s? That actually is a little warmer than where we've seen it of late. And that warm up continues as we round out the work week. We'll talk about that in detail with my 7-day forecast coming up in a few minutes. 6:02. Good morning, Symphony Privet. What you got in traffic?
Good morning, Matt Scott. And good morning to you. If you're just waking up and joining us, we're going to check out how things are shaping up so far. No major incidents to report, at least in the Hartford area, as we take a look going at the traffic going through the Hartford Tunnel this morning, rather. Traffic volume pretty light so far this morning. No delays to report on 91, 84, or Route 2. Now, we do have a quick look at some of the closures going on in western Connecticut and Southbury. Kettletown Road closed at Maple Tree Hill Road, and Kettletown Road is also closed at Route 67. That's at the Kettletown State Park. Also, Route 67 closed at the Old Waterbury Road and Community House Road. There are several washouts there, and CTDOT is reporting a lot of these closures are expected to remain that way for an extended period of time. So we will have another update for you coming up at 6:30.
Symphony, thank you. Well, a lot of people today in Oxford are starting to readjust their lives as they're still trying to figure out how best to move forward after the devastating flooding earlier this week.
Yeah, resources are pouring in to help those in need. And we now know that the start of the new school year is going to be delayed. Fox 61's Brooke Griffin has been in Oxford all week. She's joining us there this morning with the latest on what's happening there and the main reason behind these big changes. Brooke.
Yeah, absolutely. So slowly but surely, the town of Oxford is kind of figuring out how to move on from this, how to go forward from this, and really just adjust everything. So one of the biggest things that they're doing is they are delaying the start of the school year by a week. Now, that's because a lot of these roads, as you can see behind me, this is really what a lot of them look like in this town at this point. So that means that the buses cannot get to the schools safely. Of course, parents can't bring their kids safely either. And a lot of those students are dealing with damaged homes as well. So just a lot going on, too much to really begin the school year safely and easily. But town officials also held a public meeting last night. That was mainly to give people a chance to come together and really just help each other. There were sign-up sheets for those who want to receive or give help, as well as information about federal and local disaster relief and announcements about where to take debris as the cleanup process continues. Now, again, one of the other things that is a pretty big topic right now here in Oxford is the no school next week. That's the biggest thing those parents and students need to know. Superintendent Robert Miller hopes to open schools the week of September 3rd. That's going to be the week after Labor Day, but it all depends on the recovery efforts between now and then. Miller says the damage on the roads is too dangerous for buses to reach all of the students, and he wants to give those families time to clean up their own homes before launching into the busy semester. He says this should have been the week teachers were setting up their classrooms and getting ready, but of course that is also now behind, and he wants to give everybody time to get settled. So really time is the gift here that everybody is trying to get and also receive. They want time to clean up, they need time to set up classrooms, get these roads repaired, and that's really all it comes down to. It's just a very long recovery process. If you have any questions about resources or information, you can head over to fox61.com. We have a lot of that listed there. Live in Oxford, Brooke Griffin, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Brooke, thanks so much for the update there. Appreciate that. Of course, we'll check back throughout the morning. Now, in case you missed it, Governor Lamont celebrating at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago on Tuesday night, along with Lieutenant Governor Susan Bysowitz, Congresswoman Johanna Hayes, and Congressman Jim Himes and John Larson. Senator Chris Murphy is also at the convention. We're going to have much more on his speech last night in just a few minutes. It came just a day after Governor Lamont declared a state of emergency after devastating floods. On Monday, he toured some of the damage with Senator Richard Blumenthal in Oxford before heading to Chicago and requesting federal help to deal with the flooding. President Biden granting a federal emergency declaration for Fairfield, New Haven, and Litchfield counties in response yesterday. Now, this means state agencies are going to work with FEMA on recovery plans. Some of that work is going to be to protect property, public health, and also safety moving forward.
Well, if you were with us the morning after the floods, you may have seen that video of a tow truck that got inundated with water and mud while trying to move a disabled car. It really illustrated how quickly things deteriorated, so much so that the rescuers needed rescuing. Well, the same thing happened while firefighters were trying to rescue one of two women who were swept away and killed by floodwaters in Oxford. A Good Samaritan named Michael Ronalter told us he was driving home from a store on Oxford Road with his daughter when he came across firefighters trying to save a woman in a nearby car. And Ronalter said he saw one firefighter disappear under the water.
They were doing their very best to try to save her. And then I jumped up and ran out to try to help pull him in. The poor guy was blue. He didn't look good, and it was like he was able to come to.
And we've been told that firefighter is now recovering from what the fire chief said are minor injuries. For complete coverage and updates surrounding the cleanup from that historic flooding, download the free Fox 61 News app or visit our website, fox61.com. Well, it's almost time for students to head back to class in much of the state. Teachers are finishing up those last-minute bulletin boards and lesson plans, but that being said, not all teachers are heading back to school.
Well, the state has had a shortage of teachers over the last several years. So where do things stand right now as we head into this new school year? We're checking in with Fox 61's Lindsay Kane. She's live in Newington with the details. Lindsay, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Well, the state is still having a problem recruiting and retaining teachers. Now, some districts have more shortages than others, but as a whole this year, the state is really struggling trying to recruit special education educators and also paraprofessionals. Kate Diaz, the president of the Connecticut Education Association, says just about every year around 1,200 to 1,300 teachers retire. Now, the state doesn't see enough incoming teachers to offset that. Diaz says pay and working conditions are two big factors driving teachers away. While this year still has high numbers of vacancies, Diaz says many teachers swapped around districts for this school year. Now, that helped certain towns and cities fill their rosters, but the total number of open positions hasn't changed.
We continue to see those shortages. What's concerning to me is that the number of openings hasn't necessarily gone down, but the distribution of them has changed and shifted.
Now, coming up in the next hour, we hear more from the Newington superintendent with more on how these teacher shortages are impacting this district and also more ways they're trying to be creative in order to start retaining and recruiting teachers. Live in Newington this morning, Lindsay Kane, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Hey, Lindsay, thank you for that report. Hopefully it's a problem that gets fixed, right?